What's going on, everybody? It's Kyle.
I'm Alexander.
I'm Brandon.
Aaron.
My name's David. We're Romance and Rebellion, and you're hanging out with us and Rob on Front Row Live.
Jumping into Amps and Anthems, I dig the EP. It's a new direction in a way from the previous, the debut album. Tell me about going into the studio. Madden Studios is where you guys recorded this, and what was that whole production like?
Go ahead, Aaron. You probably.
I'm gonna go regular. It was a good time. It was a really efficient process, I would say. First of all, but no, I like the heavier sound. It's a lot of guitars. It's a lot of great vocal melodies. So I'm happy for sure.
So we actually recorded.
I like that. Go ahead. Keep going.
We actually recorded most of it at Studio City Sound.
Okay.
Which
Even
is
better.
Yeah, no, and then we did our final mixes and stuff at Madden Studios. It's really hard because then you start doing this, and I was like,
You just got
no, I'll just do it. Yeah, so we did the final mixing at Madden Studios, but most of it was at Studio City Sound.
So with this time around, because there was a change in sound, the change in the way that you guys create your music, did you guys work with a different producer? Is this the same producer as you guys have always been working with?
This time was good for me as the drummer. The first one we worked with Stefan Litton. He was amazing. We did it on a kick snare, hi-hat, 2 crashes, and so this time I actually had a full kit that I got to use and could really express myself through my sound. And we worked with Lennon, and he was amazing. Yeah, John Lennon's great. He came back, and we got this great record.
For me, this was the first time doing an album with the boys. I'm one of the newer members. I wasn't around for the first EP, but I will say, it was a different producer. He was working with a new guy, Lemon of the Clan Citrus, and he's an amazing guy. We are definitely on the same level, both in our life view as well as our musical direction. He put a bit more of an organic touch to things, so I felt like the record overall had a more open, broader sound, but with a nice pop sensibility to it. The engineer he worked with, Andrew, was also an animal. He got one of my favorite, I think, drum sounds I've heard in quite some time. It was a really good, everything just came together really well sonically, and it was nice to be in that environment, because when you feel good about what's coming out of the monitors and off the board, you work harder and smarter and just more passionately, and that translates, again, into just a bigger, better sound.
Lyrics-wise, how do you see yourself grow in the way that you write lyrics today on this EP as opposed to 2016, the debut album?
It's definitely a lot more aggressive. Our sound has gotten a lot harder, I believe.
Lyrics are more aggressive. There's a lot more shits and a lot more fucks.
In terms of the lyrical content, I think we're just trying to be a little bit more realistic and relatable to the lyrics. I mean, it's one thing to somebody once said to me, if you can say something that everyone's felt before but never heard before, that's the mark of a good lyric. So with this particular EP, I think we went for a little bit more of definitely a more raw sound, rawer sound, but but also we wanted to go more relatable with the lyrics too. So all across the board, it's just a little bit more youthful and less conservative than the first EP.
Yeah. What led you to be less conservative this time around? Was it just growing up, just experiencing these new things?
I think I just think that when you try and play it safe, everything always gets magnified and amplified when you do a record. So if you think that something is too conservative, it's going to be way too fucking conservative, and it's going to sound like you're making music for old people, like for the old folks home. So I think what you really want to do is you want to be fearless when you're with what you're making, right? And however that comes out, if you want to be softer, be softer, and then it'll come out like that. But if you want to seem live and electric, which I think is what we wanted to go for, right. Less produced, less conservative is it.
Now this EP was more live and electric, like you mentioned, but the debut album, there was a lot more acoustic sounds into it, softer songs as well. Is that something that we can maybe expect from you guys moving forward as well, that you guys will continue? Because I like that variety of the rock band and then the acoustics, the acoustics.
Well, actually, it's funny you say that, because Alex's favorite song is
Thanks for the Memories.
Featuring Jason Mraz.
Featuring Jason Mraz. I think we do have plans to implement some acoustic tracks into the live show, which intrinsically will make its way to album format. But actually, to be quite honest with you, the reason we didn't do an extra 2 songs, maybe softer songs, maybe more acoustic songs, was just budgeting. I mean, it just gets really expensive when you're talking about thousands of dollars per track that you're doing and all the work that goes into it. And so is it necessary, especially when you're at this stage of the game where you're still substantiating your claims as a band? Are you really looking to... What up? Are you really looking to say more, or are you looking to just talk a lot, or are you looking to say less, say more with less words?
Concise. Be concise.
Not like that sentence that I just said.
I'm Brandon for the day.
Brandon for the day.
Now, I also wanted to talk about the thing that caught my attention the first time listening to you guys was that your sound is kind of nostalgic. I know you guys are still like a relatively fresh band, but it kind of like it takes me back to like, the old pop punk days, Newfound Glory days, Chemical Romance days. Like, it makes me feel like you guys were in that era and you guys are still around in that area. So can you tell me about that sound? Like, what really got you guys inspired with that sound? Is that, did I name the right bands that kind of inspired you guys?
So Brandon and I are the only two that actually listened to those bands growing up. We were talking about this last night. So they're all kind of playing catch up. David liked this horrible band called the Beatles and started trying to get our sound like that. We're like, no. So fortunately, it started, shifting into the Taking Back Sunday, the Fall Out Boy, that whole thing. And it's crazy. These guys never listened to that. And obviously, I'm assuming at this point you guys have gone back and kind of play catch up. Well, I don't know. I just stuck around until... I mean, he pays me so much money. Yeah, I just stick around for whatever.
Yeah, like Kyle said, we were just talking about this last night, that I was super behind on that whole realm. I was really out of all the social circles, just in general growing up, and I was really into older music, and I was into like blues and rock and classic stuff. And then I'd say when I turned like 24, which is a year ago, I discovered all the things everybody else was into when I was like 15, and I was like, oh, this is fantastic. Like, I came across like Yellow Card, and I was like, oh, this is so cool. So I'm kind of still in like the honeymoon phase where I think it's really exciting to me. I'm learning a lot. I'm taking these sounds I never did before, and I'm putting them into my music, and I'm learning how to just have more like pop punk fun on the guitar. So Brandon probably has a lot more knowledge in that category than I do.
Well, it's literally Blink-182 is like the band that kind of got me started. So, all this stuff, it's just really cool. It's being incorporated, and hopefully with growing and evolving sound as well. So, yeah.
Yeah. I think we just want to make really fun music.
Right.
And
You are.
I hope people are just having a good time coming to the shows and singing along. And, we're actually being like grouped with a lot of our fans on like Instagram with some of these, like, My Chem. And I grew up with a lot of like Thursday and AFI and Dashboard Confessional. And so to be like grouped with some of these bands is pretty incredible. Like, not other obscure bands, but like Romance and Rebellion and 21 Pilots. And we're like, holy shit. Feels like a pretty big deal.
And your lead singer kind of looks like Chris Carrabba.
Oh, he kind of does. Dashboard.
You kind of look like him a little bit. But yeah, no, I mean, like, that's the same thing for me. Before I started Front Row Live, pop punk started everything for me. Newfound Glory started everything for me. This is actually my first channel, Punk Videos Rock. So it was like the fact that you guys brought that sound and made me, like, it took me back to those days. Like, that's what made me appreciate the music even more. And I do hope that you guys get to continue to do that for the rest of the music and open these doors. I mean, a couple years ago, a band like 5 Seconds of Summer brought pop punk back, but in a way introduced it to new kids that have never, heard pop punk before, like yourself. So it's kind of
Luke. Caleb. That's it. You know Rachel. Callum.
So it's kind of cool that you guys are part of the bands that are reintroducing this genre to new music fans out there. Moving forward, what else can we expect from you guys? The EP just dropped last month. So what else is on the books for you guys?
We just started working on new music, and our new song sounds very Panic at the Disco, which is exciting. I'm definitely a big fan of Panic. But yeah, it's got a little darker tone, so it's fun.
Yeah. Touring. We want to tour. We released this. We released after our first EP, we did a lot of just local, regional stuff. Now we've kind of released this new sound. There's a lot of heavy hitters on this new record, just production wise. Yeah. So like we feel like that hopefully will give us the lift to go and start touring with some really some bands that I think we all feel like we deserve to be playing on the same stages with.
Right.
Certainly sonically feel like we're where they are. I'm not saying you're not, whatever. That's cool. Yeah, so touring is definitely one thing. We're obviously always going to be working on new music, but for right now, it's just trying to get out there and get on a tour with some really great acts.